Chapter 16, The Girl Who Owned a City. May 23rd was a warm evening. Lisa and Todd sat on their jackets and watched Swift Road for a sign of life. The Arco station was deserted except for the dancing reflection of moon and clouds in the faces of the gas pumps. "What time is it, Todd?" 5 minutes to 12, he answered. She said nothing more until a distant rumbling was heard. "What's that? Do you think it could be them?" They peered intently into the darkness. Finally, the sounds took form. A convertible with its top down led the procession. 3 soldiers accompanied a boy in the front seat. "That must be Charlie," Lisa thought. The convertible was followed by a large dump truck with 20 soldiers in the back. 3 panel trucks and 2 cars were next, each filled with child soldiers. At the end was another convertible filled with 4 more soldiers and a driver. The string of vehicles stopped where Swift Road met North Avenue, and for a few minutes everything was dark and silent. "What's the matter? Why isn't Charlie signaling?" Todd asked Lisa unuttered questions. And then a light flashed from the lead car. Todd and Lisa counted the seconds. 10, 30, 60, another flash of light, and then another. When the signal had been repeated 12 times, Lisa and Todd walked across North Avenue and approached the first car. "Charlie, it's good to see you." She shook his hand and was in command again. "Gather all your men around the panel truck in the middle, quickly, and tell them to be quiet." None of the soldiers, not even Charlie, knew what was planned for the night. They all wanted to cheer when they heard the voice above them on the roof of the panel truck. "We have a long wait ahead. At daylight, we will start an exciting tour. It will be our first trip away from Glen Ellen. We will visit other cities in search of an army. When we find one that we think we can trust, then we'll make a deal with them to help recapture Glenbard. We will go to Lombard first, then to Villa Park, and then back to Wheaton. If we can't find what we want, we'll try our other cities, but—" "You there," she said impatiently to a restless soldier. "Did you hear what I said?" He did not answer. "You must all pay total attention to what I say. We can't take any chances tomorrow. Who knows where we'll find what we'll find in those other towns? Maybe there'll be armies that could kill us on the spot, so we must be ready. We can't make any mistakes, so please pay close attention." And they began to rehearse their strategy. The soldiers rested for a time while Lisa and Charlie sat by the Arco pumps discussing the weaker aspects of their plan. When they agreed upon a way to strengthen the mission, they would rouse the soldiers for more briefings. Lisa carried the plan beyond the events of the next day. Her strategy brought them to the morning of May 26th, when Charlie's soldiers and a hired army of hundreds would recapture the city. "Lisa, why get ahead of ourselves? Let's take the plan one day at a time," the general criticized her. "No, Charlie, we must plan the whole strategy to make sure that everything fits together. Then we can adjust it to each day, as we need to, until the 26th. They spent the entire night in conferences and briefings. The soldiers slept and were awakened and then slept again. By morning, the plan was fixed in everyone's mind. The 8 vehicles and the army of 55 made ready just before morning. At dawn, the motorcade began the journey to Lombard. The children were tired. Some were frightened, thinking about what they might discover in the outside world. But they were brave and kept their assigned position in the vehicles. The people in the towns were amazed by the long motorcade. They ran into their houses, afraid that the brigade had come to do them harm. No one in these cities had yet learned to drive. The sight of one moving automobile would have shocked them, but to see 8 cars and trucks filled with armed soldiers made them shudder. The motorcade stopped many times in Lombard. Lisa and Charlie tried to learn who the town leaders were. A few of the less fearful children stayed outside to watch the procession, and when Charlie would call out, "We've come in peace. Who is your leader?" someone would walk to the lead car. Then Charlie would say, "We are from Glen Ellen. We want to be your friends. We are here in peace. Where is your headquarters?" They stopped at least 20 times, but no one would tell them about leaders or headquarters. Lisa and Charlie decided that those words were no longer spoken there. The appearance of the town itself seemed to confirm this. It was lifeless and dirty. The motorcade moved on to Villa Park. What they saw there was something that no one wanted to speak of. It was a town that hadn't survived. Death was everywhere. The children felt its presence on every street of the town, and they didn't need to look inside a single door to know it was there. They drove away silently. In Wheaton, they found a leader, a headquarters, and an army, but not the alliance they were looking for. The general of Wheaton was a cruel, violent boy. "Get your army out of here," he said, "or my men will wipe you out. I have 200 soldiers. My name is Scott Donald Many." "Scott Donald Many," a voice called from the ranks. "Looks more to me like Scott Donald Duck." The small army of Glenbard laughed, and Lisa studied the angry general. He was shaking slightly. He chose to ignore their insult. "You'll be smart if you just stay in your own town and don't stick your necks out ever again. Ever." And he told them why. "I'm going to join with the Chicago army, and we'll be seeing you someday soon. So don't get too snoopy, or you'll just give us a reason to wipe you out early." Then he bragged. "The Chicago Army is an enormous and powerful force. It has over 2,000 soldiers, and when Wheaton and the other towns join up, it'll have even more, maybe as many as 5,000 by July. When we're ready, we'll start to capture towns like yours, one at a time, until we control the whole state." He talks too much, Lisa thought, but he wasn't finished yet. "If you're smart, you'll join us. If you're not smart, you'll regret it. The King of Chicago is very, very powerful. He'll see you soon, I'm sure. You'll have a choice. Take advantage of it. Now get out of here. But wait, what's your leader's name? Is he here? I want to give his name to the king." When Lisa stepped forward, the boy laughed. "It's not true." He laughed again, and this time he looked at the 55 soldiers. "A girl?" he mocked. "What's the matter with you guys? Boy, you must have some tough army with a girl leading you." And the girl, who never wanted to hurt anyone, ever, even Tom Logan, smashed her fist into the face of the Wheaton general. The blood from his nose confused him long enough for the motorcade to pull away. "A girl," he thought, as he stared after them in amazement. "Well," said Charlie to Lisa, "we've got another enemy now, Scott Donald Duck." And they roared with laughter at his distant figure. Suddenly serious again, Charlie added, "That Chicago Army stuff scares me. What do you think of it, Lisa?" "The King of Chicago?" she said. "What a dumb name for a leader. Why not president or premier? Is this the Dark Ages or something?" Neither of them answered. They both knew that in many ways it was like a pastime in history, and kings and brutality were again a part of life. "We'll be ready for them," she said. "Where to now, Lisa?" Charlie asked. "Well, we could look in other towns, but I really don't think we'll find anything much different than what we've seen today. We're going to have to revise our plan tonight. Well, we'll just have to do it without a big army," Lisa thought after a while. "Driver," she said, "turn left, turn here, left." And Lisa led the motorcade safely down the streets without enemies to the farm on Swift Road. But it wasn't the quiet farm they had expected to find. The high flames made Lisa think of an earlier fire. The 100 voices made her think of earlier battles and past celebrations. Which was this, she wondered, as the motorcade came to a rest in front of the farm. Was it a party or was it trouble? It was definitely a party. That was apparent by the shouts and cheers of joy as she walked toward the crowd in the farmyard. They had been singing the Glenbard song and waiting for the return of the motorcade. The orange and yellow flag of Glenbard was flying high above the bonfire. Yes, they were celebrating. Someone had learned that Lisa was safe and at a farm on Swift Road. The rumor had spread quickly throughout the city. "Charlie!" Lisa was angry now. "How could this happen? How did they find out? Don't you realize what could happen? It could be our big mistake. Logan might come here after us, and if not, he'll surely be on guard every minute against an attack. Tell me, Charlie, how could they have found out? Only you and Todd knew about it." Charlie couldn't say anything. He stood there with his mouth open, thinking. Finally, he said, "Lisa, I swear I didn't tell a soul. I swear it. I can't imagine how they found out. I didn't even say we were going to the Arco station." She believed him, and then she remembered Jill. They must have tortured her, she thought. The crowd wanted Lisa to speak to them. They cheered and shouted, "We want Lisa! We want Lisa!" But her mind was on other things, other very serious things. Would Tom Logan come tonight? And what would happen to Jill? Was she hurt? What should they do next? Could they still attack on May 26th? Could those hundreds in the yard serve as an army? All through the night, the crowd grew louder. They kept shouting, "Lisa! Lisa! We want Lisa!" But she didn't speak to them. She planned and changed and replanned the new strategy. She sat alone in a room inside the farmhouse, and the words of caution came back to haunt her. Take no chances. Look at all the possibilities. Mistakes are costly. Think. Plan. Be logical. Take no chances. Outside, the noise continued. No, she couldn't speak to them yet. When her plan was ready, she would talk. After all, you only speak when you have something to say. Mysteriously, the crowd grew larger by the hour. How was this possible? Where'd they all come from? Those 200 and then 300? What had happened to the city? The answer, if she had taken the time to look for it, could have been seen on Swift Road across North Avenue, down the old route to Grand Avenue, and finally past the lake to the castle itself. That route was filled with a stream of pilgrims carrying their life's belongings, and food and guns to find a leader who they now knew was alive. Before this, they had feared her dead. They thought she was something crazy and strong and very, very, very special. But in the darkness of her outcast chamber, Lisa's courage wavered for a minute. I'm not what they think, she said to herself. I don't know if we can do it. I just don't know. But the moment of weakness left her as she turned her thoughts to the problem, the one she knew she could solve. Enough of doubting, she warned herself. I must make this plan right, perfect, no chances, no mistakes. All that night and the next day, Lisa kept herself in the room. Is it the 25th? She wondered. By tonight, I must have a plan ready. The crowd of 300 waited outside in the warm spring air. They waited patiently, never doubting that everything would be all right, that she would figure something out. Todd came to work by her side. Together, by candlelight, they looked at plans and drawings. The conference seemed endless to those waiting outside. What are they doing in there? The children asked. Why won't she come out here? Why can't we go get that thug Logan? Charlie assured them, it's an important plan, a very, very important plan. We can't make any mistakes. We must be very careful. We can't take any chances. You must trust her. She knows what to do. And when Lisa was ready, when she told them the new plan, it went into effect very suddenly. In what seemed to be almost the next morning, the crowd was at the castle. They took positions in the woods and by the walls and in the trees around Glenbard. There was not a single mistake, not a sound anywhere. The children were outside, all around the fortress, while Lisa alone crept through the secret tunnel. Would he be in the chamber? Was her gun loaded? Did she have the key ready? Would there be guards? What's wrong? She emerged inside the fortress and was confused. No guards anywhere, no children anywhere. What's the matter? The absence of guards made her more nervous than it would have if they had been everywhere. She went through the basement section. There were no guards, no citizens. Up the stairs to the main floor. Nothing. Not a soul anywhere. What's going on? What's wrong? She went down the corridor. It was deserted. Lifeless. Should she turn back? No. She found her way to the old chamber and turned the key. He was sitting there as though he had been waiting. Hello, Lisa. I've been expecting you, he said. And then he added, sit down. I want to talk to you. She hadn't expected this. I can't handle your city, Lisa. You win. Your children rebelled and just walked out. How could I stop them? What could I do? Lisa, I'm sorry for the shooting. Truly sorry. I told them not to shoot. It was an accident. I didn't mean to hurt you. And your friend Jill, they'll tell you that I hurt her too, but I didn't. We just scared her a little. She's safe in a room downstairs. We just scared her, Lisa, that's all. And they were all leaving. Your citizens found out where you were, and I think she told them, and I threatened to hurt her if the others left, but they were too busy running away to hear me. They just walked out. What else could I do? They hated me from the start. What could I do? Is he asking my opinion? She wondered. Tom Logan seemed spent and weary. He had known the burden of the city, and he didn't care any longer. He was beaten. All right, let's talk, Lisa said, and she laid the gun on the table beside the candle. It was a trick. In a second, he grabbed the gun, aimed it at her, and shouted a signal to 50 hidden guards, who soon filled the hall outside. And for the second time in the history of the city, the gang leader smiled victoriously at the girl.